There we go. We're off and running.
All right. Well, hi, everyone. This is the second grade team, and I am Kelly Velasco, one of the second grade teachers.
I'm Paula Humpavlis, another second grade teacher.
Hi, I'm Beth O'Neill. I'm another second grade teacher.
I'm Alexa Lombardi. I'm another second grade teacher.
Was I muted before? Yes, okay. Hi, I'm Dana Randall, another second grade teacher.
And I am Christina Batsis. I am the second grade special education teacher.
I'm going to take a minute and introduce myself. I'm Allison Sabaka, the assistant principal. We also have some additional teachers joining us, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves. And Dr. Dwyer, I think, has a few words he's going to share as well.
Hi, I'm Elena Knapp. I'm one of the music teachers at Roosevelt School.
Hi, I'm Molly Starin. I'm an intervention teacher here at Roosevelt School.
And I think that's everyone. Did I miss anyone on our panel? Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I just want to say a few words before we get started with our second grade curriculum night presentation. I want to give a warm welcome to all our second grade families as we begin this remote curriculum night presentation. The entire team is here this evening because it represents the collaborative effort that they're making, working every day together to plan lessons, plan activities, and to make sure that this is a worthwhile, productive experience for all our students, and that from one classroom to the next, it feels the same and it looks the same. I also wanted to get started by pausing to thank our parents. During these challenging times, you've continued to be just great partners with Roosevelt Elementary School, and for that I'm so grateful. Not a day goes by where there's not a phone call or an email, and it starts out with a parent saying thank you for the work that we're doing and understanding that these are challenging, difficult times, but you know where our heart is. We're doing the very best we can in working under these circumstances. I want to give a big shout out and thank you to our teachers. They are working tirelessly day and night to make this a great experience for everybody. And I think as we begin this year in the remote learning phase, I think we're going to look back and celebrate a couple things about this experience, and especially pat our students on the back for a few things. First, I think the students are proving that they have grit, they have resiliency, they can work through problems and issues, and for that I applaud all of them. Our students also can do hard things during challenging times, and I'm so pleased and grateful. I think oftentimes we don't give students enough credit for the grit that they show us and the resiliency that they have, but it really is inspiring. As I look at our primary teachers, our classroom teachers, I realize that setting up a classroom is absolutely critical, and doing it in a remote setting is just as much important. Teachers right now are establishing effective routines and procedures, and that requires lots of verbal directions. I've jumped in to substitute some classes already this week. I've jumped in to just say hi to classes and students, and I get tired myself just watching the teachers do this tremendous work on the screen. The teachers are working to gradually release responsibility for learning back to students, and the teachers are also working to foster independence for our students. We want them to own their learning. I've seen some developments this week, even where teachers shared a Seesaw page where they developed a class checklist of 4 activities or things that students need to do during the reading block. And then they track the students and how they're accomplishing each of these tasks. This is just one example of an idea that teachers are already developing and implementing in the first few days of school. Parents can also help students develop this independence though, and it's a delicate balance by recognizing those moments when you should step away from the computer and step back and let the teacher do their job. They are fantastic. They're highly knowledgeable, they're experienced, and their passion and heart is for the student to succeed. And it's okay to step back and let the teacher and student work through those moments. But I think in our partnership, there are times when a parent will step in as well and step in to communicate with teachers if a child is frustrated. No one can learn when they're frustrated, and we certainly recognize that. And so it's a delicate balance, a fine line that teachers and parents work together to identify. Is the child avoiding work that's hard and difficult? We'll respond to that. Or is a child frustrated because they're overwhelmed? And we would certainly respond to that differently. There are key aspects of this remote learning experience, and I just want to review a couple of them. First, remote learning features live instruction daily in all subjects, and we also follow a full day schedule. This is a lot. This is hard, and teachers are very sensitive to the amount of screen time that this involves. And just understand that we are very flexible and understanding. Even myself as an adult, each of the last 2 days, I've had to stand up from this desk, walk out and say to the secretaries, I need to take a break. I am walking around the school, and I will come back, collect myself, and continue with the day. If this is something I need to do, it's reasonable that teachers and students need to take that break too. We welcome you to have that conversation with your child, to take those breaks, and to communicate it with your teacher. There's no penalty for taking a break, and we certainly realize that as the days go on, the weeks go on, you may establish a routine and pattern and recognize there's certain days and times during the day when it makes sense for a child to take a break. Let us know, and we will work with you on that. Over time, teachers are going to be providing more asynchronous work for students as the classroom procedures are established. We are certainly in a period of transition, and our partnership depends on great communication with the teachers and the parents to work through these matters as we try and grow and enhance this remote learning experience as best we can. Before I turn it over to the second grade panel, I just want to take one more opportunity to thank our parents for being here tonight, for your continued support and your encouragement. I know the panel has introduced themselves already, so with that, we could get started with the slideshow. And as we're diving into the first few slides here, I will let everybody know at the bottom of your screen, there's a question and answer box. And if you click on that during the presentation, you can ask a question right away. We will do our best to respond to it immediately through a text reply, or we will even pause the presentation to discuss that question with the full panel. Thank you.
Sorry, I was on mute. So our first topic is our intervention X block time. And during this time, it's first thing in the morning for all second graders. And students will be working on targeted goals in either reading, writing, or math. Also during this time, some students might be pulled out of the classroom to receive additional services for speech or social work, and then different interventions. For reading, we use the Units of Study workshop model that they used in first grade last year. And this is really about students gaining the independence to read on their own and to learn it, to read to learn. So there are 4 units within the Units of Study workshop model. And there are plenty of other tools for your students to use to help with reading. We have Raz Kids, which they've used in the past, but it's leveled reading with comprehension assessments. And then we also have Freckle, which is new to your second graders this year. And it's a differentiated platform that students will take assessments on to get at the level that they are at for reading, and it will place them on a pathway.
Beth, you're muted.
I'm talking away and I'm muted. Sorry. I wanted to mention something about XBlock before I go into the writing. And that is that we usually do our planning for XBlock based on the students' MAP scores. So once we get those, we will look at those and analyze those and then figure out based on those what skills the student needs to do. We're slowly acclimating to the XBlock. We're really right now trying to use the XBlock as a way of just stretching some of the other things that we're doing with kids. All right, Writers Workshop. Writers Workshop is such a fun way to teach writing. And I was chuckling today as I was giving one of our pre-assessments with the kids. I can really see a difference in kids writing from last year to this year in the sense that these second graders were exposed to the Lucy Calkins writing last year, and you can just see so much of what they learned in their writing already. So I feel like it's really exciting to do Writers Workshop with kids who've already had it 1 year in place. So the way that Writers Workshop works is that we usually start with some type of mini lesson with kids. We teach them a skill or a strategy for either revising their work or editing their work. We encourage students to start adding dialogue in second grade. And then we go into a time where we let students practice those skills, and we encourage them to write and write and write and write, because that's the only way we really get better at in the writing area. And then the third component of that Writers Workshop is meeting with kids and conferencing with kids and really working on goals that we establish with children or areas in their writing that we feel like they need extra help or reinforcement in. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works remotely. I think a lot of us are still talking about that and planning that, but we are planning to do that. So we'll see how that goes. So that's the Writing Workshop. The other component of our language arts is the Fotis and Pinnell Phonics Spelling and Word Study System. And it's really, for us, mostly a phonics program that we use with kids. We are definitely going to have to modify this year as there's a lot of components where we usually have kids cutting and pasting and doing different things. It requires tons of copying. So we're taking a lot of those concepts that are introduced in the Fotis and Pinnell, and we're trying to modify those a little bit using Seesaw and other activities so that we are exposing kids to phonics, but it might be in a little bit of a different way. All right, I guess on math too. Math, as you noticed this week, we've been really trying to teach or introduce the kids to extra math and to Freckle, which are big components of our math program. What we're having kids doing right now with Freckle is they're taking pre-tests, and then the program is very similar to the MAP testing in the sense then that it will place kids in the area where they need either reinforcement or growth. So if a student does extremely well on the pretest in Freckle, it will kind of scroll the student to the level that he or she is ready to learn. So it's a great way to reinforce and to differentiate with kids because it really targets the skills that they need to practice. The other thing that we've used is this week is we've really tried to get those kids on extra math so that we can start working on their fact fluency. We require that students get through the addition and subtraction in the extra math. And then if they are able to pass both of those, then we allow the students to go on to multiplication and division. So that's kind of a natural way of enriching kids. I encourage you, I know some of you have had some difficulty, or your kids have had some difficulty getting on Freckle and extra math. All of us sent home information on extra math. There was a piece of paper that went home in your information or in your supply packets, and it will walk you through getting on extra math. Some people have wanted to use their accounts from last year, but we need you to sign up with the account that we're giving you for this year, because we have to track that information for the extra math. For Freckle, if you could also assist your child in getting on. I know a lot of us have been sending emails nightly, just trying to help you get the kids on. So if you could do that with them at home, then it will make our life a little easier when we're telling them what pre-test area we want them to do. Next week, we will be starting Unit 1 of our My Math. We use the My Math textbook as a resource to teach the Math Common Core standards. And we will be having the students work out of their book. So make sure you have your student have their math book with them, especially for kids that are traveling to learning pods or perhaps to grandma's house, that they have that math book with them. At the end of every math unit that we go through, we have the students take, I would say, a quite rigorous common math assessment. You know, they really are robust as far as, you know, they really have high expectations for kids. We did send home the first Common Core math assessment with the kids in their supply packets. So make sure you hold on to that. We will need that at the end of Unit 1. And I think that's that.
All right, so for science and social studies, this year we will be alternating between both subjects between each unit. In social studies, we started introducing this week their community unit, and we will also be discussing government and citizens, looking at the earth, past and present, and then in science, we'll be working on plant and animal survival, materials and their uses, and the Earth's surface. In a virtual setting, we will be incorporating BrainPop Junior and Pebble Go, since it's more interactive for the larger group.
Great, and if I can, I was just going to interrupt because we're seeing good discussion here, or covering great areas about curriculum. It came up in another grade level team meeting. I think it was a great question, so I'll pose it to the second grade panel here. Can someone on the second grade team describe the ways in which your team is collaborating regarding the assignments that you give students, the lessons that you cover, the pacing of these lessons that you cover? Anyone want to respond to that, comment on it?
Sure, I can comment on part of it. So in terms of the pacing and planning parts of it, we do have the district pacing guide. So that's kind of our go-to. But then in terms of bringing it down on more of a team level, we have a Google Doc, and we just kind of have like our own pacing guide, and we just kind of mark in and tell each other, you know, what lesson we're doing this week or what lessons we're going to get through in a week, so that we're all kind of on the same page. We may be a day or two ahead or behind each other, but for the most part, you know, depending on our students' needs, we're covering the same material in a week.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. One thing that we certainly realize as teachers here at Roosevelt is that some students are involved in at-home learning pods, and students in these pods may be at home, but in a pod with students from a different classroom. And while we do try and line up the reading and math blocks, so all this is reading and math is being taught across the grade at the same time, we want to also try and align those lessons and activities. So if students were in a pod that had consisted of people in different classrooms, they still would be able to function as a pod, and go through their lessons and materials. We want to make that work for our parents. We realize these are challenging circumstances. And I'll pause here. Someone asked a question about MAP testing, and MAP testing does begin in 2nd grade. It is a computer test that looks at the academic performance and achievement level of a student skill level in reading and in math. And it is something that they do 3 times a year, fall, winter, and spring. This fall, we'll be doing it remotely the week of September 21st. And leading up to that MAP testing, I will be sending out a letter and information to describe that testing and how we use the results in greater detail. With that, I think we'll continue. I think we're on to science and social studies.
Kevin, I just wanted to say one more thing too about, I do feel like our team has really kind of come together with collaborating and discussing different ways to reach the kids and to teach our lessons. But I want parents to also realize that, every year you get a different group of kids, and every class has a little bit different personality and different levels that you have with kids. And so you really do have to trust the teacher in the sense that we do sometimes have to do things a little differently or teach things in a little bit different of a way, just because we need to respond to what our students are telling us and to what our students' needs are. So although the activities might be slightly different from class to class, we really are covering the same things. It's just that a lot of times, like I said, we just have to really accommodate the kids that we have in our classroom and their personality and their needs.
Thank you for sharing that. That's an excellent point.
Okay, and then one last thing before I go to the next slide, just in terms of pacing, because I know you brought that up, Dr. Dwyer, I just wanted to make it clear that even if we were in the classroom in 2nd grade, we would alternate between science and social studies units anyway. So just so you guys know, we're not alternating because we're remote. That's how we do it in 2nd grade. We alternate between the units, so between the subjects. So we will get through all of it. It's just that we alternate between science and social studies.
Next is our social and emotional learning, and we use the 2nd STEP program. And this features different engaging activities, fun games, and songs that promote self-regulation, safety, and support. And some of the lessons may include how to make friends, managing emotions, how to solve problems, and dealing with peer pressure. And practicing social and emotional skills with students will work differently this year since it can be challenging online in the Zoom setting. But once again, we're adapting this and using Read Aloud's videos and Seesaw to incorporate this. And then for health, we use the Great Body Shop, and these are flyers, and we sent the first flyer home in their supply pickup last week, and this covers food, nutrition, germs, and safety.
Okay, it's my turn, and I get to cover report cards. Am I on? Yes, okay. So report cards go home 3 times a year, and our grading is different than the A, B, C, D percentage kind of score. We get a 4, 3, 2, 1 score. 4 meaning that basically your child rarely makes any errors and needs very little support from the teacher. 3 means they're secure in whatever they're doing, and the student completes tasks with some teacher support. 2 is developing, which most students are for most of their time. The students depend on teachers to assist them. And then a 1 is at their beginning, and the student requires frequent teacher assistance. We also have NA. So if they're, for example, if measurement or time and money has not been covered, then you may see an NA in that for the first semester because it's not in, we haven't covered it yet in the curriculum. So those are some of our ratings. They also get civil and work habit grades. Those are different. They're S, D, and N. S meaning secure, that they exhibit behaviors and habits that are appropriate for their grade level most of the time. Nobody's perfect. D is developing, that the student is beginning to develop their habits in that area, and N is a needs improvement. And certainly if they're getting that, you would know that ahead of time. The teachers would be in contact with you either in a Zoom chat or on an email to talk about those behaviors that they would be getting an N in.
Hi, I think that's me. Molly Starren again. I'm one of the intervention teachers here at Roosevelt. If you look on the right side of the slide, I am one of 5 teachers who works with the intervention students in 2nd grade. I believe all 5 of us work at this grade level. I know it was mentioned before, we have a half-hour intervention block each morning from 9 to 9:30. Currently, it's different than in other years. We are seeing the students from the spring who are identified in intervention. So those are our current intervention students. In intervention, we provide targeted instruction in either the area of reading or math, whatever students are eligible for. We will be completing FastBridge benchmarking with 2nd graders this year. Typically, we haven't done that, but we're trying to get a read on our students since last spring was kind of an unusual spring for us. So we do want to check in with students and see how they're doing on their reading skills. Usually we just use MAP, but we're trying to get an extra data point here for our teachers. That will be next Tuesday, actually. And if you check your email, you should have seen an email from us on Wednesday about a scheduled assessment time and a link to a staff member that will be completing the intervention screening. If you have any questions, you can contact me. I'm the contact person. We will also be doing MAP screening, as Dr. Dwyer had communicated earlier. That is during the week of September 21st. So we will also use MAP scores to give us a better idea of students who are eligible for intervention services following this benchmarking period. And our teachers will use that as well to differentiate their instruction. And then the week of September 28th, we'll look at forming new groups for our intervention services, depending on those scores that we receive and that data that we've been collecting. And that is a very basic overview of our intervention program. Please let me know if you have any questions. We love working with our 2nd grade teachers. They're a wonderful team, and we really enjoy collaborating with them, with your students.
So this is the art slide, and I don't believe that the art teacher that created it is here with us, Dr. Dwyer and Ms. Sabatka. So I will let you all just read this for a moment.
So our fine arts teachers did want to be included in the and we'll let you look through. This looks like a choice board of sorts for some activities that you can do during an art class.
Thank you.
We might want to say we have 2 teachers servicing 2nd grade. We have Miss Kim and we have Mrs. Moreau.
Yes, thank you very much, Mrs. Randall. That's a good point.
That is our last slide.
Fantastic. Okay, well, I'd like to thank parents. Are there any questions that we haven't answered in the question and answer? And I will prompt parents too, if you have some specific questions that are specific to your classroom or your student, please feel free to reach out to your homeroom teacher for some of those specifics as well. Are there any pressing ones that we haven't gotten to? I think most of them have been answered. I'm thinking. So I would like to thank parents for your partnership tonight. As Dr. Dwyer had mentioned earlier, we are all experiencing a lot of new things, and teachers and administrators alike are becoming learners alongside of our students like we haven't before. And so we thank you again for that partnership, because without it, this year would not be a success at all. And that's our goal, is to make it successful for all of our students. So with that,
you know what, Mrs. Bach, I just wanted to say too that the teachers are really, really appreciative of the partnership with the parents as well. I know that we've asked a lot from you as far as being our hands. Of course, we, are just, it's just so hard not to be able to reach out and really help those kids. And so we really, really appreciate all you've done to help us in these first couple days. And I do think the kids are getting better and they're getting more independent, but we do appreciate it so much. I know it's challenging and can be frustrating for you at times, but we really do appreciate all you're doing to help us. So thank you.
I think that's really well stated, Mrs. O'Neill. It's challenging for all of us, and the support that the parents provided and the compliments have been, they've meant a lot to me. I know that at the end of a hard day, when we've been through a lot of different things and running in a lot of different directions, it's really nice to open up your email and get a couple of thank yous and just people acknowledging all the hard work and challenges we're facing right now. It's meant the world, and it just reminds me how special our Roosevelt community really is. So I did want to note there's a couple of questions there. One had asked about adjusting work for a student, or if things are getting too hard. And what I would say is reach out to your homeroom teacher on some of those circumstances, that as they get to know your student best and they communicate with you, that feedback is critical for all of us to be able to improve the experience and try to individualize it for our students. But like we said, without your voice in the matter, knowing when a student is frustrated or they're overwhelmed with the amount of work or the technology, we aren't able to adjust like we used to be in the classroom and see everything that we used to see. So we really do rely on some of those critical insights that you guys are able to provide. So please reach out when you do get to a level of frustration yourself or your student does, and we will work with you as we're all in transition through this year and trying to this is as we go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Thank you again, everybody, for giving us some time this evening. And if you have additional questions, reach out to your homeroom teacher.